Hi friends, good evening and very welcome. Okay, so in today's class we will cover the topic called name function. Okay, so we will study what is this name function. In Excel, we know that Excel refers each and every cell by a combination of the column and the row. So say for example, what is the default name of this particular cell in Excel? The cell where my cursor is right now, it's E3. So E is the column number, 3 is here, and you can see the name on this button on this space called name bar. Okay, so this is by default the name given by a particular cell to an Excel, but we can create our own name reference in an Excel for any cell or even for a group of cell, right? So let's understand how do we create a name for a cell, what is the advantage, and how do we use this feature for our to enhance our efficiency when we are working on certain formulas, certain data or formula. So first of all, let's understand how do we create a name for a cell. Okay, there are two ways to create a name. First is, let's say I want to name a particular cell, let's say C3. Okay, so I place my cursor here. Okay, I go to the name bar, I click on it, I right click from the mouse on it, and you see that this name has been selected, so C3. So instead of keeping the default name, let me give it a name. So what name shall I give? Let me call it C3. Okay, so I have created my own name for this cell, and then I press, once I have written the name, I press enter, right? So the okay, so now you see that the name of this cell is C4, but when I place my cell on C3, you see that the name is actually C3, which we have given it a name. Okay, so this is how you create a name for a cell. Now let's see how do we use this particular name referencing. Okay, for that let us take an example. Okay, let me take this example and explain. So here we have the employee ID, 67 employee ID and their salary. Okay, the tax rate given to us is 30%, and I want to compute the after tax salary, okay, of this employees. Okay, so first of all, we all know that if I don't use any name function, how will I calculate the salary? So I will use a formula, original salary into 1 minus the tax rate. Okay, okay, this name is already defined, so let me just quickly go and delete the name. I will let you know, guys, don't worry that how do we delete the name once we have created it. So don't worry about that, we will just study this operation in a while. Okay, so let me write this formula again, equal to salary into 1 minus the given tax rate, which is cell number B8. Okay, since I want cell B8 to be constant, I will freeze this cell, I close my bracket, okay, and I use autofill option to complete the calculation. Okay, so you see that I have calculated the salary of all the employees after tax. Now let's see how to do it in an easy way by defining the cell, name. Okay, so this is my cell which I want to name. So I place my cursor here, that is on B8, click on this name bar and give it a name. Okay, let me give it a name, tax rate, tax underscore rate. Again, do remember that when you are naming a cell, space will not be accepted. So if I try and give a space, you see that Excel will throw me an error. Okay, so if you want to give a space, you will actually have to use an underscore or hyphen. So I use T underscore rate and I click on OK, and now the name has been created. Okay, so now if I write a formula, what I'll have to do is salary into 1 minus. Okay, so now I want to recall the name which I have created. So I press F3 on my keyboard. The moment I press F3, you see that all the names which are there in your Excel file will be coming here. So I select my name. I don't need to scroll through. I can simply, let's say if I am on the top of the scroll bar, I press T, okay, and I get reference of the T. So T rate is the name which we have given to this cell, and I click on OK and I close the bracket. Right now I can simply copy paste this formula, okay, or I can also use autofill, that's not a problem. So and in this case you will see that I'll get the answer without any freezing required. Okay, so why don't we need any freezing? Because if you look at the formula here is B12 into 1 minus tax rate. Again, for all the cells the formula is same. So rather than linking it to a cell B8, now I have named this cell, okay, and I'm in my formula I'm using that name which I have created, T rate. So once I copy paste the formula stays as in. Okay, so B16 B12 will change, but this T rate name which we have given will remain constant, and hence once we have named a cell, we do not need any cell referencing to be used, right? This is just one application of naming a cell. Of course, we will see other applications also. Clear? So this is how naming a cell helps us in when we are working on a database or a formula. Now let's explore how do we name the cell in a different manner, that is using the name manager button. Okay, so just go to the just go to the formula tab. Okay, and in define name cluster, okay, you see something called define name here. Okay, so if you click on this define name, okay, you see this window will appear. Okay, so this window helps us in creating a name for a given cell or a group of cell. Okay, so you can first write here what name do you want for a cell. Okay, you can give any name, like we have given it a name T rate. Okay, if you want, okay, before that let me tell you how do we delete the names which we have created, so that then we can use this define name command and create the name again for this cell. So how do we delete a name which we have created? We go to the name manager. Okay, so again this name manager, you see that all the names which you have created will be appearing here. Okay, so you highlight the name which you want to edit or delete. If you want to edit, you can go on edit and change the reference or the name whatever you want, or else you can simply delete it. It says, are you sure you want to delete? I say okay, and the name is now gone. Okay, you also see that once the name has been deleted, okay, so your formula now becomes ineffective or error. Okay, so now Excel doesn't recognize this name called T rate, and hence it throws up an error because it doesn't know what to do with B11 into 1 minus T rate. Okay, so how do we correct this formula? We will have to again use the cell referencing if the cell is not named. That's the only way to correct it. Okay, if I want to correct all of them at one go, I can use the control H, that is find and replace option, and I can say replace T rate with the given cell and it will work fine. Anyway, let's move on to the defining the name now. Okay, so I click on this define name button which is under my define name cluster in the formula tab, and you see this window appearing. So you give it a name. Okay, I say T underscore rate. Okay, it says the scope. You want this name function to work only on a particular sheet or on the entire workbook. That is again something you can select depending upon your requirement. And it says refers to, so which cell will T rate name refer to, and I say B8. Okay, so it says name function sheet name B function name function and cell reference B8, and I click on OK. Right. So again you see that the name reference has been created, and Excel rewrite this formula correctly for us, because now again it recognizes the T rate word exactly the same manner, that is referring it to B8. Clear? So this is how we define a name in an Excel sheet. Okay, the keyboard shortcut for name manager is Control F3. Right, so if I press Control F3, you see this name manager window appear, and you can now play around with the name. Again, instead of using the define name option, you can also click on the new, and it will give you this name define name window here, the same window which we just explored. Clear? And we now know that we can edit or delete any of the names which we have created as per our reference. One more thing which we need to know about the define name is that this need not necessarily always be a reference to a cell. It can also refer to a value. Okay, so let me say give it a name text underscore okay, let me say text underscore rate. Let me give it a different name this time. And so how will Excel recognize the text rate? By 30%, and I click on OK, and I close this window. Now instead of using the T rate here, let's say I want to again rewrite this formula, that is 30% I want to use. I want to refer 30%. So instead of referring it to a cell or writing 30% manually, I can now call in the name by pressing F3. Okay, and I will select TX rate which we have just created. Okay, and I say OK, close the bracket, and now I can copy paste the formula. Why is it giving me an error? Oh, because I use this. Okay, sorry guys, my mistake, just give me a second. So I will refer it to the right cell. Fine. So you see that instead of defining name by using a cell reference, we can also define the name by giving it a constant value. Okay, and it will work exactly in the same fashion. And now you know that if I want to call the name manager window, I press Ctrl F3 and I can play around with the name which I have created. So if I don't want the name to exist anymore, I can simply go and delete it. But do remember, the moment I delete it, if there is any formula which is using that name, it will throw up an error. Clear, guys? Okay, let's further explore this name manager window. As I said that we can define a name either for a single cell or we can also define it for a group of cells. Okay, now let's say this is my table. Okay, and I want to name each of this column by this header which we have. Okay, so I want to name this entire group of cells, that is from cell A11 to A18 as employee ID. I want to name this particular set of cells as salary, that is basically the row header or the column header which we have here. Okay, so in that case what we need to do is press Ctrl Shift and F3. Yes, you use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl Shift and F3. Okay, so it says create names from values in the, I said, top row. Okay, and I click on OK. Okay, so let me just reselect the entire table, maybe it will work then. And I press Ctrl Shift and F3 and I use top. It has already selected top row, as you can see. I press OK, right? So now we will see that, okay, this entire set of cells is known by the name with name defined. This entire set of cells is known by the name salary. Okay, this entire group of cells is known by the name employee ID, because that's how we have created the name. That is the top row, right? So if this is an easy way for creating a name reference when you have a group of when you have a data set with a row header or a column header. Clear? So this is again an easy way to define a name for a given data table. Again, how we will use this group of cell? Let's say I just want to I want to work on this entire table. Okay, I want to work on this entire table. Let's say I want to write a VLOOKUP formula. So I will say VLOOKUP. Okay, it says lookup value. I give it an employee ID. What will be my employee ID? 683192. 683192. Okay, it says table array. Okay, so okay, I have not defined the entire table, but I have only defined a single column. So let me let me use the table array as this name called employee. And do remember, guys, once you have defined the name, you do not need to write it in inverted comma anymore, because now Excel recognizes this word employee ID. Okay, it's no more a text for it, but by the name employee ID it understands this set of cells. It says column number, so since there is one single column only, I say column number 1 and I give 0 for exact match, and it gives me a reference error. Let me see, why is it giving me a reference error? Oh, I forgot, because the name cannot be created with a space. Okay, so it has by default taken a underscore in between, and you see that I get my data work. Right, so this is some of the example where I will use this naming a group of cell. I can again define this entire table. Let me call it trial table, trial underscore table. Okay, so once I have named it, okay, instead of again using a formula, now let me explain this VLOOKUP formula again. So it says lookup value, I give it a value 683192. Okay, it says table array. So rather than linking it to this entire table, I can simply call my table called what is the name of our table? So I can press F3. The moment I press F3, I can see trial table here and I can select it from there. Okay, the other option is, okay, as you see that if I write trial, I see the name of the table which we have created as a drop down, of course with not a function icon but with a different icon. So I can just double click here. Okay, so trial table has been taken, and this is nothing but the reference to this table. I say column number, let's say 3, because I want the after sales salary, after tax salary, and I give 0 for exact range. And you see that the salary, the after tax salary 334406 has been pulled for me. Right, so this is where we used the name reference for an array or group of a cell. This is very handy again when you are working on some data which needs to be referred again and again. So rather than going and linking to the data set again, I can just simply name that data table and then use it again and again for my reference. Clear? So this is, some of the things which we can do with the name manager. And okay, now before I close this topic on name function, let me again give you a very useful feature about name function is that you can also make your define name dynamic. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. So in this case, let me first define this table. I hope it's not already defined. Yes, it's not. So let me define it as trial underscore table 2. Okay, you will understand what I'm trying to explain here. What happened? Yeah, sorry, I forgot it to select. So trial underscore table 2. Okay, and I give it a name. So now this table has been defined. So let me use a VLOOKUP formula to pull the value of this particular SKU ID. So I say VLOOKUP. Okay, my lookup value is this. My table array is trial. So I select this trial table 2. I press a tab to select it. Okay, my column number will be 2, and I will give 0 for exact rate, and you get this value. Okay, now but let's say if I need to update this table tomorrow, let's say I add another SKU ID 1547. I hope it's not already there. No, it's not. And I give it a price, right? So if I try and look from the given table reference here, if I want to look up for the new ID which I have created, will it give me an answer? No, it will throw an error because right now it's referring to the trial table 2, which is only limited to this table. Okay, so since 1547 is not lying within the defined name table, Excel will throw us an error. It will say it doesn't recognize this SKU ID, and hence it's giving us an NA error, right? So now let's see how do we create a name function by keeping it dynamic at the same time. Okay, so again we will use some of the simple basic numeric functions which we have studied, numeric or logical function which we have studied earlier, to make our name definition dynamic and not static. Let's see how do we do that. So again I press Ctrl F3. Okay, I go to new. Okay, I give it a name. Let me call it trial, or let me call it dynamic table this time. So I say dynamic table. Okay, I say the scope within the workbook, and now I need to refer it to, it says refer to. So instead of referring it to a cell, I will have to write a formula. Okay, so see, logically what I want is that every time Excel, I want to basically define the scope of this table to the last existing data. Okay, so I will use an offset function here, because offset will actually offset my cell to a given defined name. So it says offset. So what is the first argument in the offset? It says a reference cell. So let me give this as a reference cell because that's my starting point. Okay, it says number of rows to offset. I don't want any rows to be offset, neither any column to be offset, so I am giving it both 0. Then the fourth argument in our offset formula, if you remember, is the height. Okay, this is the most important part in this formula. It says what should be the height, or basically how many rows you want us to select. Okay, so here rather than giving it a static number, I say count A. Count A is nothing but a formula which will count the number of cells which has data. So I say count A. Okay, and I give it, let's say, this entire column. Okay, so it will count all the values in this column, all the cells in this column which has value. Okay, so that will become my, and I close the bracket, so that will become my height for the offset formula. And of course, if this data, if this table has, let's say, 10 data, so my count A will definitely throw 10, and hence the size of this table will be 10 rows rather than now becoming a static. It has become a dynamic. It says number of what is the height of the, what is the width of the offset function, and I said 2, and I close the bracket. Let us check whether it works or not. Okay, so the name has been created as a dynamic table. You can see the formula here. You can of course go and edit or delete it at the same time. Okay, so now I have created this formula. Now let's see whether this works or not. First let me try with a VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP this value. Okay, what is the name of our table? Dynamic table. I press tab to select it. I say column number 2, and I give 0 for exact range. You see it exactly, it works now. Okay, let me add another SKU ID 1232. Let me give it a price 12. Let me check whether it searches for that or not. 1232. and you see that it works. Okay, let me just give it another value. Yeah, fine. So you see that by using a simple offset formula or maybe some other value if required, I can make my name function a dynamic name function pull up a cell. I can give it. I can create a name function with a cell referencing which is dynamic rather than being a static. So this is a very useful function, especially when you have a data which keeps getting updated, right? So it's not necessarily that you have to create a name for an array of cell which has to be fixed. You can make it dynamic. Clear, guys? So this is again this might help you in a given case. I hope it is clear. So what we are simply doing is, rather than defining the name of the cell by giving a range, I am using a formula to define the name of a cell to select the cell reference. Okay, so this is what we have in the name range. Let me include one more example, okay, which is basically an example of a sum product, but I will also tell you how to do it using the name function. You will basically now be aware how to you do the same using the name function. Okay, so here in this case I want you to calculate what is the total units sold by Ranbir in the last 3 days. Okay, so that's what I want. So I want that I want you to calculate the total units sold by Ranbir in the last 3 days. Okay, so here I can use a sum product function. In case you are not already aware, let me tell you, a sum product function is a very simple function which helps you multiply, okay, which if you give it 2 array, okay, so what it will do is it will multiply the 2 array and sum all the values with each other. So what exactly we are doing? Okay, let me take another array, a simple one, 1 2, and let me take here 1 2. Okay, it can be anything, not necessarily the same value. And let me explain you what is a sum product function is. So I say sum product. Okay, what is the first argument? Array 1. I give it an array 1. What is my second argument? Array 2. So I give it an array 2 and I close the bracket. Okay, so what is Excel giving us is nothing but 1 into 2 plus 3 into 2. So 1 into 2 is equal to, so this into 1 into, say, array 1 into array 2. Okay, and finally the sum of this data. Okay, so this is what a sum product simply does for us, and it gives you a value 8, right? But the application of sum product is very great, especially in examples like this. So here what is our question, that I want you to calculate the total units sold by the Ranbir, okay, in the that is any unit sold by Ranbir after 30th Jan 2015. Okay, so that's what I basically want. So in this case also I can use a sum product function. Okay, let's see how. I'll give a sum product function with a criteria. So I say sum product, this is my array 1, I say array 1 is equal to Ranbir. Okay, yes, it works in this sense, it works in this cases. What is my array 2? My array 2 is that my date should be greater than or equal to this date. Okay, and what is my third array? My third array is this particular unit sold. Okay, so before I press enter, let me explain you what will happen in the Excel. So first Excel will go and check A2 to A9 whether it is equal to Ranbir or not. So wherever it's equal to Ranbir, it will say true, and we know that in Excel true is equal to 1. So it will create 10 10 10 value for us in this, for this particular array. Okay, then it will go to the second array and check for the date, whether the date is greater than equal to 30th Jan. So for all this first 4 cell, it will give you 1, and then it will give you a value 0, right? So excuse me, and we know that sum product will finally, after creating an array, it will multiply the 3 arrays and give you the sum. Okay, and then it will simply pick up the third array and it will multiply all the 3 arrays. So it will be 1 into 2, that is 2, plus 0 into 1 into 3, that will give you 0. So whichever, if the conditions is not true as per specified by us, it will give you a value 0. So even if one of the condition is not met, the value will be 0. But if both the conditions are met, that is both of these conditions are true, both of this array has true, that is 1, it will throw up an answer for us. Okay, That's how a sum product with a condition works. But here, if I simply press enter, you will see that Excel gives me an error. Okay, it doesn't give me any value, it gives me 0. Now, why does it give you a 0 is because Excel still recognizes the value as a boolean. So, it recognizes the value as true false. To make it a numeric value, I add any two mathematical operation. Let's say minus minus. So, minus minus is equal to the same thing. Okay. Here also I apply minus minus, and I think it should work fairly well now. Okay. Okay. So, this will not work because it's a date, and let me apply a minus sign, two minus sign here. What happened? Oh, I have not put it in bracket. Sorry, my mistake. Let me put this also in bracket. Now with the two mathematical operations. Okay, and let me close the bracket for sum product. And you see that we get our answer. Right? So this is how we use a sum product function with a logical condition. Only remember one thing, that since the answer will be in true false format, you have to change the boolean format to a numerical format by giving it to mathematical operation. Again, the mathematical operation can be anything. You can add absolute formula, which is again nothing but converting a data into a numeric value. So you see it still works. Okay. You can also say, let's say, okay, let me leave it. Let's say I say this, okay, whatever is the value, I say change it to the power 1. Okay, again it's a mathematical formula and it will help convert the value to a boolean, and it will still work. Clear? So this is just an example I wanted to give, that how does a sum product function works with a logical condition. Just remember to add a mathematical operation, as it will always throw an error. Now, why I am using this example with this name function class is because you can also do the same calculation using the using a dynamic name range. So first what you can do is you can create the name for each of this column, okay, by using the dynamic name referencing, okay, for each of this column, and then you can apply the same formula. Okay, so rather than every time linking it to a cell, you can directly give it a name which you have created for this each of this column. Clear? Okay, fine. So this is where we stop the class on the name function. I hope it was helpful. We will again meet in the next class with some of these additional functions and features which we have in our Excel, but which are very useful and helpful to solve our complex problems. Thank you guys. Have a nice day. Bye bye.